Hey, hey. Can I get a what? I mean, I really want to get a what? I want to get this room warmed up. Ready? What? Louder, y'all. What? Ow! All right, let's give a round of applause for everyone who made it out here today, who rode. Yes, keep those claps. Thank you for everyone who came out today. Thank you if you rode your bike, amazing. I'm gonna keep it really short because we have lots of storytellers and I'm super excited to get all of their stories in and hopefully have enough time for wild card. Also have to do a drawing at the end of the night. If y'all didn't get a chance to see, we've got amazing prizes thanks to Specialized. Check in with the folks up at the front. They have all the details on that, but appreciate all of your support. You all being here is amazing. How many people, is this your first time to Bike Story Night? Raise your hand. Wow. How many of you have been to 2 Bike Story Nights before? 1 Bike Story Night? 5. Just kidding. All right. This is our 5th Bike Story Night, and I'm super excited to be back at Spokesman South. This is such a beautiful venue. We love being here. We're super excited. With all of that, I'm going to go ahead and just introduce you to Christy Healy, who is our first storyteller. Christy has kind of a combo. She is also speaking about Texas MS 150, who is our guest bike-related nonprofit. So get ready to hear all of the details on that and how you can get involved and give back to your love for cycling. Christy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Well, this is my first time at a Bike Story Night. My story starts 7 years ago next week. I don't know how to make that not happen. But I woke up one morning, I kind of felt like I had something in my eye. I went to work anyway, and by the end of my shift, I was a bartender. I was looking at my computer, and I realized that I couldn't see out of one eye anymore. So I texted my sister because she's an ER doctor, and she's like my dial-a-doctor forever. It's great. I recommend having that. And she was like, well, you have to leave work and go to the ER. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I'm halfway through a bartending shift, like I'm not gonna do that, but then I did. Because she's the one who's like, oh, you think you broke your ankle? Just walk it off. So if she says it's time to go, then it's really time to go. So I went to the emergency room. Her roommate from medical school was working that night, did like VIP treatment. You can like apparently go and request your doctor, which felt really weird, but was good. I had an ophtho consult at 4 in the morning, which is not something that happens. I was in an MRI by 6 a.m. and by 8 a.m. I had been diagnosed with MS. So, is anybody familiar with what MS is? That's about how I felt as well. Like, meh. The only thing actually I knew about it is that my grandfather had it. He had a severely debilitating form of it, and because at that point there were no treatments, he died due to complications from it. So that's what I knew, and it was very, very scary. So a couple months went by, and it was my birthday, and my friends bought me a bike. Previously we had tried to ride me on the handlebars, and that was going to end poorly, so they pulled together and they got me a bike. I started riding just around the neighborhood to work, the normal stuff, to Coney Island to drink margaritas, because I lived in Brooklyn, and ride rides. And 2 years went by. I barely talked about having MS. I didn't like thinking about it, and the easiest thing to do was pretend it wasn't happening and everything was fine. But then I saw a friend share a fundraiser for Bike MS in New York, and I didn't know that was a thing. I immediately cried, signed up, and had a goal of riding only 30 miles, which at that point the farthest I had ridden was 10. So it seemed like a lot. It seemed crazy to do this. I raised $5,000 for it by the next morning because I finally talked about it. And it was crazy because it's like my two least favorite things, talking about my feelings and asking for money. I don't like doing that. And but it finally felt like something I could do to fight back. So for those of you, which is most of you who don't know, MS is an autoimmune disease where your immune system is attacking your nerves and eventually will do nerve damage. So it can affect anything that's controlled by your central nervous system, which is everything. I went blind in one eye. It can be slurred speech. It can be vision, other vision problems, dizziness, coordination. You could wake up and not have a leg work. It's really kind of a crapshoot because there's no definitive prognosis, and what happens, happens. So I raised my money. I ended up raising almost $15,000 the first year that I did this, which felt really great. And then I moved to Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas. So I signed up for the MS 150, which is 150 miles from Houston to Austin over 2 days. I realized I needed to have a bike with gears, which I hadn't had previously. I did a couple training rides, and then I was like, this isn't gonna work. So I got a road bike. I signed up as an individual rider, and it felt very overwhelming. And then I saw a Facebook post that said, do you like beer and tacos? And then I realized I had found my friend. So I signed up with a team. This year will be my 4th year. It's been canceled the last couple of years due to COVID and flooding. But I'm excited. I made it the first year. I thought around mile 60 that it wasn't gonna happen. But I took off my shoes and I sat in the grass and I ate a snow cone because they have snow cones at the rest stops. And I got up and I realized I could keep going. It has literally changed everything for me. It's an amazing organization. I've been able to build a network of support of friends, of other friends with MS. It's incredible. And also raise money to fund research, services for people who are living with MS that need help navigating, which is, if I had known that existed, I probably would have asked for help because it is a tricky thing to navigate. I joke, but it's pretty much true. I am healthier now doing this than I was before I was diagnosed with MS. I've been riding and it's amazing, and on this coming Sunday, I am racing in my first half Ironman, which will also be my first triathlon. Thank you, I hope it goes well. I'm a little nervous about that too. So Jenny is in the back. She is here from the MS Society. If anybody is interested in riding and raising money, increasing awareness, it's an incredible thing. And you can ride with me and the other like 8,000 of my closest friends who are doing this with me. But it's a lot of fun. The MS Society puts on a great ride. It's super well supported. My first year, I was very nervous. It seemed intimidating, but someone was like, it's just, the day one is 100 miles, and it's just 10-mile rides. And then you stop and eat snow cones. So if you want more information, Jenny has an email sheet at the back. There's options to find teams if you don't want to ride alone and you're worried about logistics, because that was overwhelming for me. There's teams that have beer and tacos. Lots of options. So thank you guys so much. I hope you'll see Jenny for more information, and thanks for letting me share my story.
Can we all give it up one more time for Christy with the good snacks? Hey, my name's Drew. Some of y'all may know me as I rode here from Kentucky. Once upon a time, I spent 2 years living on a bicycle and crash landed in Austin. And due to really awesome community like this, I never left. Small world, full circle. We actually sponsor the team Taco Deli, team that Christy rides for at Bike Farm, and we do a weekly ride to train for the MS 150. So we do that on Thursday nights. That's my little shameless plug. But I am up here to introduce our next speaker, Hayden. So Hayden is here to tell you a story about some trials and tribulations, bumps in the road, things that happen on your bike that you don't always plan or anticipate, but how sometimes those lead to moments of growth and all that. So can everybody give it up for Hayden?
Cool, thank you everyone. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm going to try to remember to speak into the mic. I'm also going to use my phone just a little bit because I'm a bit scatterbrained, and this is a really important story to me, so I want to make sure that I cover everything. So first things first, just again, thank you all for being here. This is a heavy, but ultimately a very positive story that has been in my mind for a while, and I do want to note that this story could be triggering to some. It does involve aspects of physical assault and addiction and chronic illness. So if you do need to take a walk and get some air, I totally understand and would not be offended. So I'll roll time, but this is my story from the last year of my life and the leading role that biking has ultimately made in that journey. A recovery, individual journey of self-discovery, and I know that this is unique to a lot of people, but ultimately my goal is to be vulnerable about it and just, oh, that is much louder, and ultimately just try and, I've gotten so much strength personally from the stories that other people have shared and being open about their struggles and, as Drew put it, trials and tribulations. So this is kind of my chance to be a little bit more open about that, and I'm just really glad to have the platform to do that. So kind of to start, as everyone can probably see, I've got a cast or a little brace on my wrist. So that's kind of the impetus for coming up here and telling my story. So about 6 months ago, roughly in November, I was riding my bike, and I was actually going to join up with the Auditory Weird Tree Tour one Sunday, and it was beautiful out. And I was riding down Springdale, and I was actually thinking to myself, I was just really out of breath and was about ready to turn back because I was nowhere near the meeting spot for the tour. And as we were going along, it was the East Austin studio tours, and so there's a bunch of people walking around and jaywalking and everything. So as I'm riding my bike, I'm about to pass Austin Bouldering Project, and at around that time, an individual's crossing the street, and we sort of play chicken a little bit. But ultimately he stops, and I think, okay, cool, he's gonna let me ride by. But as soon as I get right next to him, he takes the chance to sucker punch me off of my bike. So very unexpected. I hit the sidewalk and popped up, and I immediately threw my hands up, and I think I said, why? I was just so confused, and I started taking steps backwards and was trying to de-escalate and just, I don't want to fight, like, what do you want? Like, can we not do this? Like, but as soon as I saw his eyes, I could really tell that he was not coherent and was not going to listen to reason at that time. So I kept backing up, and at a certain point he went to pick up my bike, and I just kind of instinctively took a step or two forward. But when he saw that, he decided to charge me, and whatever other instincts I had kicked in, because I, was backing up and I was, dodging and dipping, and eventually, I realized I was going to need to do something, so I planted my feet and I threw a punch, and luckily it, landed cleanly on his, nose, and that's what ultimately dislocated my thumb and tore a bunch of stuff in there. But it sent him back a little bit. He was kind of stumbling, and thankfully around that time, I think it was being able to see, again, just that he wasn't coherent, that, he was in pain, that he was suffering. I could really see at that time, a fellow suffering addict. Today actually marks 11 and a half months since I had my last drink. Thank you. It's definitely been a transformational year, and part of why I want to tell this story is because biking has been a huge integral goal in my recovery from alcohol and prescription pill addiction. I went through an outpatient program, and kind of through that, some of the things that kind of led to that were some other chronic just spine and physical issues, and then another chronic illness that just makes life a little bit more unpredictable. But there was a time when I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to ride a bike again. So kind of getting my life back on track and coming out of all of these different amazing programs, I was like, all right, like I loved biking as a kid, like something that I want to do. I have friends that like to bike, and I know it's a great community, because I knew there was two things that I needed to do. It was get back into the community and find a way to get outside and be active again. So riding my bike kind of accomplished both of those goals, and so I was kind of getting back into that place in around 6 months, and then boom, it's just kind of out of nowhere, I was met with another obstacle. But even through that, I was able to get mental health services involved, and I couldn't help but laugh, honestly, because I was wearing this shirt, and I was trying to describe, to the dispatcher and everything, and she's like, "What are you wearing?" And I was like, this hilarious shirt with a raccoon on it, and it says, "Live fast, eat trash." And she was like trying not to laugh and stuff, but once the EMS and like mental health officers came, like they couldn't help it. But again, that was the nice thing, is being able to go through what I had been through. I was able to see that in him, and ultimately, remember, at least a little bit of compassion at the time, and that was, definitely reassuring and helped me kind of get through the next period of rehabbing my thumb and not being able to bike again. The funny thing is, I was signed up to come to the last bike story night, and this happened, again, like I think a couple weeks before that. So this is my first bike story night, and I'm super excited to be able to make it. I wasn't able to ride here, but I rode earlier in the week, and so I got in the spirit. So just kind of wrapping up some of those different aspects. I can't read and talk at the same time, so I put my phone away. I really think it was just important to kind of take that mentality that I took from the different programs and just all those things of day by day, and that's all you can really do is try a little bit harder that next day. And at times when I wasn't sure, what was gonna get me through that period, I honestly a lot of times thought about biking. So that was kind of the main thing I wanted to impress upon y'all in this space, in this community, is just how much the activity itself, but the people have really helped encourage me to find more places and kind of rebuild myself the way that I have been able to. So I've definitely been battling this last year, but it's been a really good year, and more than that, I've just continued pedaling. So thank y'all.
Hello, hello. So y'all may know me. I'm Charlie. Man, these are some very, very powerful, strong stories. They're great. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I told my story about my first bicycle, which was a Huffy, and how having my bicycle and learning how to ride it, and how it just opened up a whole world for me to be on a bicycle out in the world on my own and then with my friends. But this isn't about me. This is about the next person that's coming up. And really, really awesome story. I'm excited to hear about it. So, Javier, you ready?
Hi, everybody. So my name is Paviel Babai Piruz. If you look it up, my first name is French, and my last name is Iran. I'm of neither ethnicity. My mama is a mestizo, and my dad is from Costa Rica. What's in a name? At the age of 24, before I started pedicabbing, my normal weekends would consist of me getting off of work, going on a bike ride, and then going to hang out with my friends downtown, drinking, of course, at that age, right? A lot of people do it. So when I would go drinking downtown, I would take a pedicab ride. They're so much fun. So after I started to pedicab, one of the most weirdest things was being sober for the first time after 2 a.m. Some of the grinding and the vomiting and the alley pissing was like a rude awakening of some of the things I was probably doing when I was downtown. As I started to pedicab, I started to notice that there was this void that I wanted to fill, of seeing these drunk girls stumbling the streets. I wanted to be the person that I wanted to see in the world, of making some of these girls get home safely. Something that wasn't there for me. So I kind of saw a little bit of myself in some of these women. One story is of this drunk girl, short skirt, high heels, stumbling in the wrong direction, as she tells me where her parking garage is. I get her there, and upon arrival, she is passed out. I'm trying to shake her and scream at her, wake her up, and nothing. What am I going to do? I can't just leave her here. So I ride her over to the first ambulance that I find on 6th Street, and the first responders put something under her nose. She immediately wakes up, and they just hand her a barf bag. They knew what was going to happen. So after she pukes, they just haul her away in the ambulance. She would be one of many that sort of go through this, right? Just make sure that at least they're in safe hands. On the other hand, I started to meet people that would see the value in my service, therefore helping me be able to see the value in myself. There's another story of a couple that I gave a ride to from their hotel. Took them to a fun country bar that they loved, and took them to go get food, and dropped them off at their hotel, and they gave me $400. So for every free ride right around the corner, it's gonna come back tenfold. So this is sort of my relationship with karma. I never considered pedicabbing to be like a long-term career. I was using these funds to sort of pay for classes so I could quit pedicabbing and move on. Some of the classes that I've taken before were to learn how to do roller derby. I took DJing class, glass blowing. I had learned that there was like these glass dildos. I thought that was really cool. I wanted to make them. I also taught snowboarding in Vail, Colorado. I had learned that there are people that chase the snow around the world teaching, and so I wanted to be the second girl. There's only one girl that I had heard that does it, and I wanted to be the next one. But something that all these jobs have in common is that it gives me a sense of freedom, and I have the ability to travel, and it takes a certain level of athleticism to be able to do all these jobs. That's what I really liked. The only difference between all of these is the payouts. Pedicabbing was where it was at. So now as I move forward through my goals, I really want to try and bring the pedicabbing industry into the 21st century. I've been using social media to try and do that, but it's such a beast with all the different platforms. And does anyone here have TikTok? Does anyone use TikTok? This is the problem. I can't get anyone to follow me on TikTok. No one in my community is on social media really at all. So I've been finding people that do enjoy being on social media and just making friends through that way. Before, I always just had my friends that I know in real life follow me on social media. Now that's changing. Editing 360 videos from the pedicab is the second beast that I'm trying to tackle. But as my business grows, I'm trying to figure out different ways that I can give back. One of my long-term goals I have right now is to learn how to fly airplanes so I can connect dogs and cats to forever homes. So, big goals all the time. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Appreciate listening to my story.
Oh my gosh, give it up one more time for all of these stories. I especially want to thank all of the past storytellers for coming up and introducing the current storytellers. It's super helpful and also amazing to see them again. We are about to go into intermission, so you guys can stretch your legs, get up, walk around, get ready for the second half of Bike Story Night. I do want to just remind you of a few things. If you're parked out front, just kidding. We do have wildcard submissions, so if you don't know about the wildcard submissions, it's an opportunity for anyone here tonight who wants to tell sort of a last-minute story. Hopefully we'll stay on time and we can get those in. We already have 1 or 2 submissions turned in, so if you're thinking about it, please go ahead and turn in that submission. 2, we have merch back there, we have stickers, keychains, and don't forget about that super amazing prize that Specialized donated to us for your donation to help keep Bike Story Night going. Y'all being here is amazing, thank you. I also want to take a minute to talk about this wonderful place that we're in, Spokesman South. Give it up for these hardworking folks. I mean, you gotta love a place that has 30 beers on tap, and roaster in the same place, this beautiful ceiling, not to mention amazing outdoor space, bike rack, and guess what? They have 2 other locations as well, one at Highland, one at Metric. Give it up for those locations. I hope you all frequent them. Pretty cool. They're open 7 days a week. Y'all gonna come back here tomorrow soon, right? Have some yummy coffee. It's your new jam. I love this place, seriously. So yeah, stay tuned for more stories. Mix and mingle, it'll be just a short intermission, about 10 minutes. But mix and mingle with your friends. Say hello to someone you haven't said hello to in a while. Feel free to talk to me if you have any questions. Also meet people that you haven't met, maybe you follow on social media. But yeah, thank you all so much. Enjoy intermission. I will see you soon. Hello? Can you hear me back there? Hi. Bruce, can you hear me back there? Hi, Bruce. I hope y'all had a minute to say hello to your friends, mix and mingle a little bit, but get back to your seats. We're about to hear more amazing bike stories here at Bike Story Night. I'm gonna give you a minute. Let's do this. Just also want to remind you, and really quickly, thank you to the volunteers who are here tonight helping out with the check-in and all of the other things, our audio, visual. But I'm super excited to introduce you to the next storyteller who's about to join us. He is a crucial part of the cycling scene here in Austin and has been here for quite a while. So I'm sure he has a ton of stories to share with you. But one of the things I remembered that really made me just sort of like cherish our friendship was him passing out heart-shaped reflectors, which was super cool. So I think he's around here. Ricardo, you ready to tell your story? We're balancing the sound here. Ricardo's here. Give it up for Ricardo, everyone. I mean, give it up.
Oh, thanks. That's great applause. So I'm going to start by just letting you all know that I moved here in 1985, and when I did, I moved in with my sister. She was 5 years my junior, and she was a student at the University of Texas. When we moved into an apartment off of Spyglass, which is right behind Barton Creek, and it was beautiful. Before those years, I had been visiting. I'd been going to school in Waco and would come down visit my other friends that had been going to UT, and grew to love this city. And so I vowed to come back here and make it my home, and I have. We lived at Spyglass, and if you guys are familiar with the area, it's very hilly. And I come originally from Laredo, so I'm basically a flatlander. And so all these hills were so much fun, not just climbing them, but coming back down them and doing the coming down fast and going down up thing. It was so much fun. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my spot here. Oh, so one thing I really loved to do back then was climb garages. There's a ton of them downtown. The UT campus is just full of garages. I mean, they go from 2 or 3 levels to about 10, which are the ones I'm going to talk about tonight. There are 2 twin garages that are bordered by San Jacinto and Brazos, and First and Second. I'm sorry, Cesar Chavez and Second. And so those garages were on my list to conquer, I guess you could say. So I kind of checked them out during the week. It was the best time during the week because the weekends were a little crowded. This was back in 1989. So downtown was dead. The Ritz was a porno theater. 6th Street, Maggie Mays was still there. I don't know if it is still there, but it was there. It was dead. There was no action at all downtown. So it was all mine. I had a parking garage I wanted to climb. I climbed it. I had my backpack. I had a little beverage with me. I had a little smoke with me. So it was always fun. I always kind of charted it out and see which garage I was going to take over that night. I had a list, and back then, no internet, right? So I had a map scope. I don't know if anybody is old enough or older than me to remember those spiral notebooks that had every street in the city. Well, I had one of those, and I would mark it. I'd mark the garage, mark how many floors it had, and whether or not I had done it. So these 2 were not my last, but they were the ones that I was kind of saving up for because I knew it was going to be great to do both of them at the same time. I don't know, I was a kid. So anyway, I climbed the first one. It was no problem. Got up there, relaxed a little bit, had my brew, and kind of just sat there. It was so quiet. And those garages have bats in them as well. So I was able to go to the perimeter of the garage and watch the bats kind of trickle out and fly away. So this is kind of dusk, I guess. So I stayed there up there for a while. came back down, and it was coming down with a breeze. The garage was dead. There was no cars parked there. I was just, sometimes hands-free coming all the way down. It was a beautiful, beautiful ride down. So then I went to the other one, climbed that one. I did the same thing, got up to the top, and those garages generate a lot of heat. After the day, they radiate the heat that they've gotten during the day. So I found a spot that I knew would be shady during the day, and I sat down there, put my bike down, and had a beer. And I decided, I'm just going to do a little dead man pose here and just relax and, relax the rides away. So I sat down, or I laid down, and I did that pose, and I passed out. Okay, and what woke me up was a tapping on my foot. And when I woke up, I bolted up, and the security guard jumped, and he screamed, like, ah! And I was just like, whoa! And he said, what are you doing? And we kind of laughed it off afterwards, okay? I wasn't dead, and he was glad about that. He had been on the radio the whole time, kicking me, trying to wake me up, calling the cops, saying, I got an unresponsive guy here, we got to come pick him up. So anyway, we got up, we laughed about it, and then he said, look, you got to get out of here. The cops are going to come. They're probably going to hassle you, so why don't you take the elevator down, because they're probably going to be here anytime. So he escorted me to the elevator. I went down. I could hear the cops coming as I was going down. I hit the street. I could see their lights in the garage. I turned around, and right on Susan Chavez went down to the trail, into the dark, and off I went. And that's the end of the story. It was just a great, lots of fun.
Thank you. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Mish. For anybody who went to the first storytelling night, you may recall that I told a story about biking in New York to get sunrise pics, only to get almost hit by an Escalade in the Bronx. But that's okay. I did. My eyes went a little bit wide hearing the last story when you said that you were excited by the hills. I'm strongly of the opinion that the best biking cities are in alluvial plains because they're very flat. Anyways, I'm very excited to be introducing the next storyteller, Chris, and I will be just as surprised by the story that you have to tell as everybody else here. So.
Hi guys, my story involves working on bikes, and to tell you how I got to that point, I have to go back and start when I was 14. And when I was 14, I was not doing well. Everything was kind of getting a little worse every single day. And when I was 16, I made a very clear and informed choice to smoke a lot of pot about this. And as I was going into my 20s, I didn't see myself living out of my 20s. I was aware that people who lived to average life expectancy were making very different life choices than I was, and things changed, and they got better. And whatever neurotransmitters stopped working when I was 14 kicked on again when I was 24, and I was back to who I was in that before time. I was this kind, caring person. I was very much wanting to get involved again in things that meant a lot to me, like volunteering. And so I wanted to volunteer with the Lincoln Bike Kitchen. That's Lincoln, Nebraska. And how I got involved with the Lincoln Bike Kitchen actually involved jealousy, which is not how most volunteering stories start, but I had this coworker, and this coworker bike commuted, and we left work one day at the same time, and bike commuting had really been on my mind. I really wanted to get involved with it, but I just hadn't taken the leap. And we left work at the same time. I drove about 6 miles into town, and I was a few blocks from my house, and I stopped to get gas. Went in, paid, came out. Who do I see just flying down the road? It's that guy, that bike commuter. And I had just walked in, paid people money, and this guy is doing this for free. He's getting healthy and enjoying the outside weather. And so 2 months later, I bought my own bike. I started bike commuting. I had no idea how to fix this thing, and I wanted to learn. So I emailed the Lincoln Bike Kitchen, which is a local nonprofit in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I sent them like 20 questions, and they just sent me a response back that just come on Thursday open bike nights. And so I came, and I met Megan, Charles, Kyle, And they were such wonderful, caring people when I was in such a new and fragile part of my life. And they taught me a lot about community and what it meant to be a cyclist. And I learned that you don't need anything to be a cyclist. They were out there trying to make it so accessible for people so that everyone could be a cyclist. And so to this day, I still have that identity as a cyclist because of these people. And when I started volunteering there, I got involved through their Earn a Bike program, where I would volunteer half the time. They would teach me how to fix the bike the other half. And I did simple things. I patched tubes, I sorted, I cleaned. And I have to just describe the Lincoln Bike Kitchen because it's just insane how this happened. A homeless vegetarian chef would not stop fixing bicycles. So eventually a woman who couldn't get her house torn down in working class Lincoln neighborhood just gave him the house. So you went up to this house and it looked like every other house except for the entire front lawn is just full of bike racks. There's hundreds of bikes out in front of here. There's no grass. It got trampled so long ago by every neighborhood child. All the volunteers are just crawling over things like ants. And there's a community garden out back, and they're starting to build a fence out of bike frames. It's just unbelievable. And I started coming every Thursday. And if you have any idea how cold it gets in winter in Nebraska and how bad the wind is and how you can never wear enough gloves to keep your hands warm, it's a lot to come every week. And I just kept coming, and eventually I earned my bike. It was this ugly, hideous black Trek frame bike, and I just kept coming back, and I kept volunteering. And eventually I remember Charles came up to me, and as I was trimming wheels, and he asked, can you teach this guy how to true wheels? And it's a technical task. And my immediate response is probably something like, is there nobody else? Okay, yes, I can help. And so I taught him how to true wheels, and I started teaching other things besides just patching tires. And I think that teaching is a really big part of who I am and what I want to do with my life. And it took thinking about this story for me to realize that on my road to being a professor, that was probably where it started. That's where I first started teaching people technical tasks and really just understanding how much I love that. So things don't last forever. That house got bulldozed. We all moved on. We went on to other volunteering opportunities. The Lincoln Bike Kitchen changed its management, and so I kept repairing bikes. And so I have another story that kind of goes into this. So during the pandemic, this is my pandemic story. So during the pandemic, we were all scared. There was just fear. And this is May, June, and I remember we were wiping down groceries, and we would cross the street if somebody with a mask was walking on the same side as us. And so it was my Saturday. I had a stack of wheels that I was going to true. So a wheel is a circle, but sometimes it gets knocked side to side, it gets knocked in and out. And so if you use a specialty wrench, you can tighten the spokes on there and you bring the wheel back into true. So I had a stack of 4 or 5 wheels. I was going to build a wheel, and I had a 6-pack, and this was just going to be like my Saturday. I was going to just have a nice relaxing time. And so I started pretty early. I cleaned my house, and about midday, I'm finally out on my balcony. I lay down this cardboard mat because it's this rough, unfinished wood, and it's got these huge gaps, and I'm on the 3rd story, and I begin to start building this wheel. I sit down, I have my beer, I have a podcast going, and I'm relaxing. It's an enjoyable day. And as I'm building this wheel, I drop a spoke, and it goes down to the 2nd story. And that's fine. I don't need to go down there. This is a pandemic. I don't need to go bother this guy. He smokes. I think he's gone anyways. I don't think he's at home. So I got more spokes. I don't need to do anything about this. And that's fine. And so I just keep going, and I keep finishing my wheel, finish my beer, I go get another wheel, another beer, and I'm just working through this slowly. And eventually, about the 2nd or 3rd wheel, I drop my wrench. And it's a specialty wrench. I can't finish this without that wrench. It goes down in between the cracks to the 2nd story balcony. And I can't climb up on it. I can climb up on this balcony, but I think that's trespassing, and I'm not sure. And it's gonna be super awkward if he is in there and just sees me climbing up on his balcony. So finally, I'm starting to think of what I can do, and I realize 6 months ago, I bought an expensive cell phone, and when you get an expensive cell phone, you get a useless box. But it has a nice flap on the front, and I noticed that the magnet was really strong. And so I dug the magnet out because I'm like the cool uncle who's like, hey, look, here's a magnet, it's really cool. Also, like, here's how magnets work. I'm fun, I'm educational. And so I go get my sewing kit, and I get a long thing of black thread, and I duct tape the magnet to the thread. And so I start lowering this down in between the crack, down to the next balcony below me. And they don't line up perfectly, so I have to swing it back and forth, and I drop it, and it goes drop, 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 drop. Like, it just kind of clatters onto the balcony, but eventually, after the third or fourth drop, 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 it gets clink, and I catch the spoke. So my hypothesis had been, if I start with the spoke, I can move up to the wrench. And I start pulling that up, and I pull it up, and I kind of wiggle it in between the crack, and I have my spoke back. And so now I go back to the wrench, and I lower that down, and I swing it back and forth. And after a few more drop, 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 I get a clink, I have the wrench, and I start pulling that up. If you remember, I said that the wood was rough and unfinished. And about halfway up, the string breaks because it had been rubbing the whole time. So now there's a wrench on his balcony with a magnet duct taped to thread, and I have to go down there and take ownership of this. I can't finish my wheels. I could probably just go buy a new wrench, but I haven't really come to grips with this. And as I'm about 4 beers deep at this point, and I'm like Balmer Peak, height of creativity, and I realized I need another magnet, but that's not true. I need another wrench. So I go to my toolbox, and I take out a wrench, and I go to my closet, and I get 4 pairs of shoes, and I undo all the laces, and I tie them all together, and I have this multicolored mess that I tie to the wrench, and I lower that down in between the cracks, and then I swing it back and forth, and after a few it finally just clinks, and I pull that up, and then I kind of navigate it through that crack, and then I have my wrench back, and I can go back, and I can finish my wheel, and I finish my beer. Thanks.
Chris, you sneaky. That was a good one. Oh my gosh. It's kind of tucked in there. Appreciate you. I just wanted to remind y'all, we do have wildcard submissions. So if you need one, I have these. I have pens. It doesn't have to be a long submission, just your name and a quick brief synopsis. So feel free to come up to me. I'm going to hold on to these. And I'm going to turn, if you want to, I'll give them to you, and then you can turn them right back into this box right here by Ty. Thank you, Ty. Y'all gonna do it? Anybody thinking about it? Just like curious. Raise your hand if you're thinking about it. 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4. Come on. Okay. Well, if you don't end up being a wild card today, no worries. We will hopefully have another bike story night soon. Which reminds me, please follow us on all of the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All right, I am super excited to introduce you to one of our previous storytellers who is going to introduce one of our current storytellers. So if you're ready, Michaela, get on up here.
My name is Michaela, she, her. I told my story at the camping trip back in November, and it was dark, and I didn't recognize anyone. And now I look out and see a lot of familiar faces, so I just wanted to thank Val for creating this space for us to share, and thank all of you for coming out here. Our next storyteller is a special treat. She's visiting us on her bike tour from New Orleans to Chicago and then back home to Salt Lake City. And I think she's going to read some poetry for us. So here's Margot.
Hello, Austin. It's nice to be here. Austin has been such a treat after being on the road. Great friends, great food, lots of alcohol consumption. So I'll be biking that off on the next phase of my trip. I kind of started this trip as like a personal trauma time, like unpacking my life before transition. And very much on accident, I've been going through these places where these laws are being passed against trans children. So it's kind of taken a different form of getting to meet other trans people in the places I've been going and sharing space, like really sharing space to talk about our futures and not just the negative stuff going on right now. So that's my trip. That's what I'm doing right now in my life. Oh, I travel with a really cute Chihuahua, Spruce Springsteen, who's right here. Yeah. And so my Instagram, if you choose to follow me, is mostly Spruce. I'm gonna read 2 poems that I wrote traveling this year. The first of which is about a friend from West Virginia that died during the pandemic. She ran a DIY space for like the 20 young queer kids in this really rural area around Wilmington. And it was super heartbreaking when I heard the story of her passing, and I wrote this. It's called A Story. Tell us a story. We want to know of your favorite place. We want to know how you got there and then how that brought you here afterwards. We want to know the place we can visit that will hold some of you once you leave again. We want to know where we can leave a flower for you. Tell us a story of when you were younger, and the hope you had then, and the fears you knew, and the unknowing, so that we know where to send our letters of support and encouragement. We miss you so much. Please know how much. Please know that we won't ever forget. Please know that when we do, it will only be on paper. Please know that if we do, it will never take away from the place you filled with your stuff, and your heart, and your incompletion, and your completions. How long is a moment of silence that feels long enough to do what we intended to? How long does a moment of silence need to feel like it can cement some memory we know will fade? And for us, how could it serve to help? We are curious what it's like in the big after. We are curious where the party after this is, and if you'll still be hanging out when we are done at work. We're curious if there's anyone there you think we should meet, or if we should grab some drinks on the way over after work. We were wondering if anyone needs a ride, and where there is, and how you got there, and whether we should come over or just go home for the night. We were wondering if you wanted the company, and if you had dinner, or if we could bring you something to eat. We were wondering if we should let you know when we finish up here, and if you could let us know where you are so we can find you. So that's that one. Very, very sad girl poem about my friend, who's a lovely lady. I wasn't bowing, that would have been pretentious. I wrote my other poem's name here. This one, I got the treat of taking my friend who is an indigenous, undocumented activist to Line 3 pipeline frontline camp in Minnesota. So my friend didn't drive, so Spruce and I drove just a straight shot from Salt Lake, which was absolutely brutal, and then got to meet all of these amazing queer activists resisting the pipeline. And I wrote this about it. How much time is there?
You got it. Good.
Sweet. It's called Mud and Rain. Beautiful, queer, black, brown, and white, hooting and hollering and playing in the mud and the rain. Underneath the power lines and the lightning storm, and the pig watches from the easement. We wonder what the pig thinks. These terrifying hooligans are playing in the rain. When they aren't fucking it up, when they aren't chaining down, when they aren't getting arrested. What do you want when you get out? Who should we call? How can we have your back? How can we advocate for you? And how should we prioritize your release? I imagine the pig feels scared of us. Them? I imagine the pig feels scared of the coming storm. I imagine the pig feels afraid to breathe. We don't talk to pigs. The pig fears the determination and the willpower and the lack of fear and the spark of anger and maternal rage, and the deep pleasure of these people living fully, ready to give it all, because the alternative is to lose it all. And what right in white skin for those of us who are white to let that happen? And how do we use our skin to protect our comrades who are risking so much more than we? And how do we honor being tools in this fight that is not ours and is ours? And how do we travel consciously into the spaces where our comrades are put in cages and oppressed simply for living? And how do we honor being a part of a fight that has been going on for centuries, knowing we're making a conscious choice to oppose continued colonization? The fight is good, and the fight is right. There is a party coming later, and all the prep work is being finished. All the party favors are packed and ready to go, and the party guests play in the mud and wrestle and clean themselves off in murky puddles. And they are beautiful in the mud. They are sublime dirt, and their pleasure is erotic, and their intensity is erotic. I feel intimidated here, and I also respect that and respect them for it, that this is their home and I'm just a guest. And I'd love to stay and fight, but this is not the place for me yet. The charge here is erotic, the erotic act of throwing bodies against that which ruins the earth, the erotic act of violent resistance, the erotic act of whispered plans being made and whispered excitements as the hour draws ever nearer. Excitement builds, and this moment of mud and rain eases the anxieties for a moment. There's a passion in this, and the ability to find a moment of blissful play during a building fear. And the tension rises still as final adjustments are needed. Someone needs a belt, someone's jail support form needs to be updated. Someone needs a refresher on their rights and what jail in this county is like in your trans body. And someone at camp has a body like mine and doesn't mind talking about it. And someone needs their daughter to know they're okay. And tasks of this magnitude are happening in tents during a rainstorm, and a dog is being handed off. And someone is taking a tea shot. And someone is putting enough medicine in labeled bottles for the next 5 days. And someone is writing a phone number or 3 on their skin under their clothes. And boots are tied, and bags are loaded up and put into cars. And there's still a laughter on the air, and a joint being passed around, and a relaxation and lightness. 2 campers play chess while another screams in excitement. Dogs bark and run and fight and sniff. Chickens fight and run and peck and shit. Ducks wrap their bills against a solar panel, charging 30 phones at once, and shit on a whiteboard with dinner and security assignments on it. Someone paints on a tarp, someone's welding, a group cleans out the food storage, a group's doing dishes, a group's doing paperwork, security crews are sharing poems and stories and relationships. We talk about relationship anarchy. We talk about what it looks like when love is also liberation. We talk about queer sex and affirming our partners and how it's all about the asking. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because we're low on time. And we see the truth in it, that everything is mutual, that we can make infinite space for each other, that we can leave our relationships in their primordial form without labeling, expectation, taking, judging, or defining them. That we can see each other always as undefinable, infinite, changing, and free. That we can encourage and enhance that freedom and autonomy in each other. That we can honor each other deeply by holding each other's solitude at the forefront, each other's choices as unquestionable, each other's dreams as our truths, each other's desires, our passion to fulfill or choose not to. The rain stops and the tension balances. It's time for lunch. Thank you. My Instagram's Margot Apricot, Margot with a T, if you want to follow Spruce and I on our adventure. Thanks for making some space.
Let's fill the room with more energy and give it up again for Margot. I want to thank you all seriously again for coming and remind you there's some door goodies back here. There's stickers and koozies and coasters from the Yard family here who donated those amazing things. Those are free. Please snag those before you go. And I just really quickly wanted to share a little story of mine. In case you didn't know how Bike Story Night got started, it essentially... Bike goals essentially started with bike goals. I started biking more. I started realizing that I want this more in my life. And I started, I'm not really a goal digger. So I don't have, lists and lists of goals, but I had started to have more bike goals. And during COVID, I started to sit with myself a little bit more and really started to think about what I really wanted out of life, I'm sure as most of us did. And what I do a lot is ride bikes with my friends on the weekends, especially on Sundays, where I mostly know a lot of y'all. I think there's some cute photos somewhere of me riding bikes. But I like to take photos on bikes while I'm on my bike. I like to take photos in general, and I like to capture and document things. And I started riding with my bike pod, and having less people to ride with just gave me the opportunity to get a little bit more intimate with the photos. And then I started doing videos of people while I was riding, and I started realizing that I wanted to connect on other levels. So it just hit me while I was sitting on the floor one day in my living room during COVID that I wanted to make this space. I wanted to have a place where people could come and share their bike goals or their dreams or their stories or their memories. And I'm super excited that we're having our 5th Bike Story Night, and we're starting off a whole other year because of bikes. They're such an amazing tool. I love talking about them. Please come ask me questions if you ever need to ask anything. I'm definitely here. I'm an open book for y'all. And I want to ride bikes with you more often, I hope. Cute pictures? No. These pictures are cute. Wait, that's Karina. We're almost at Karina. We're gonna have to go like way back. Please show one picture of me. Oh, I'm sorry, I am here in the live. This is true. Take pictures of me. Just kidding. On this note as well, wait. This is because we have time. I'm milking it right now. Wait. Okay, here we go. This is like me sitting you down in my living room, showing you my photos. This never happens. Yes. Okay. Wrap it up. Okay. But seriously, we have a wall back here with Post-its. If you haven't written your bike goal down, I really want to take a photo of majority of everyone's bike goal. Please grab a Post-it. There's a Sharpie, I believe. Please put your bike goal up there. I get a kick out of those things. Other people do too. We want to know your bike goals. Thank you for coming. All right. Karina Oliva. Speaking of bike goals, okay? A whole bike goal. She is a whole mood, a whole amazing being on a bike. Obviously love her. I'm super excited to be announcing her. I had these cute cat ears I was gonna put on just to announce her, and I just remembered I forgot. But anyway, please give your biggest applause for Karina Oliva. Her outfit matches her story, so get ready. Woo! I love you, thank you.
Hello! Can y'all hear me? Yeah? Okay, better than everybody else? Yeah? Alright, I've been listening to everybody. I'm like, I can't hear anybody! Okay, so, who all remembers how you start riding bicycles as an adult? Yeah? Alright, good job. Well, I remember when I used to ride bicycles as a kid, of course. But when I started first riding bicycles as an adult, it was on a mountain bike. And it was fun. It was hard. I rode a little Gary Fisher, I think that's what it's called. And we went to Muleshoe, we went to Spokesman. We did a bunch of like, yeah, I'm a bicyclist. Well, my sister introduced me to riding bikes in the city. We'd start off going out to, the bars, and going on my mountain bike, and growing up, and on the way home, I dropped her off at her apartments, and that was at the Breakers on Riverside. I dropped her off there, and I'd have to carry on to my apartment, which was up Willow Creek, I think, and it was up a hill, and on a mountain bike in the city, that's not very easy, right? It's like, I felt like I was on the Price is Right show where that little guy's like, hey, whatever, that little man. It's just so bad. I was like, this has got to be easier. So one day, there was an alley cat ride, and I invited some coworkers to come out riding bikes with me, and they had road bikes, and they were just like lagging behind me. I'm like riding it hard. I'm just like, why does it take me so long to ride bikes? And they're like barely, like, they're just not doing enough. And I'm just like trying hard really to keep up. But I didn't realize that a road bike was the way to go. So one day my sister tells me, she's like, well, no. Yeah, you gotta get a road bike. It's gonna be a lot easier. Try my bike, come on this bike ride. I ride with a bunch of friends on this thing called Thursday Night Social Ride. All right, well, I'll do it. So I rode her little bike, and most of y'all probably haven't met my sister. Some of y'all may have, but she's a short little girl, and she has a short little bike. So I rode her bike. It was a single-speed fixie. Now, I didn't do the fixie part, but she, she's just short. So I rode it one day, and I was like, this is actually pretty fun. No wonder it was easier for my coworkers to like ride their, road bikes so easier. And I don't know if y'all have ever been on the alley cats. Way back in the day, this was like a decade ago. Like we had to like jump into Stacy Pool, go and like fish for tokens. It was fun, but it encouraged me to get my own little mountain bike or single speed. So I went to Ozone Bikes on Guadalupe. Rest in peace. And I got my own little single speed fixed gear. Never put on fixed gear. Never trust myself to do that. But I enjoyed it. Started doing the Thursday Night Social Rides, and they have their theme rides. One of the first theme rides I remember is the denim rides. And it was just fun. My sister and I made up our own little denim outfits. And that particular night, we went out to the Loading Dock by Hula Hut. And at that time, we all jumped in the water. People jumped into the river, into the lake with their bicycles. It was fun. Little did we know that it was really, nasty. Like, if you really want to get in that water, you got to be desperate or just not know any better. And then we did it at the bar, and it was fun. So I got involved into bicycling socially. They used to have their little theme rides where every once in a while you dressed up. Now, not too many people would realize that you dressed up because no one paid attention or no one knew. Back then, social media wasn't big on like creating events. It was all word by mouth. You knew people and you just like showed up and why are all these people dressed up or why are people not dressed up? So I started collecting costumes. And what I would do, and this is just a little, pro tip, after Halloween, they'd have their clearance sales, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe one day they'll have this theme ride, and I'll be able to use this outfit. So I started collecting costumes. It started off in a little backpack, and right now it's a massive room, and it just keeps filling it up. Like, one of these days when you use it, and hopefully someday I'll use it soon, but it just keeps growing. So anyways, costume rides were fun. I like to dress up and, ride my bicycle, and so much where I've actually met my, current, well, he's not here tonight, but my husband When we started dating, I was into like, I'm gonna find somebody who is into bicycle rides, and I would date people, and some people were like, oh, this is too hard, my butt hurts. I'm like, oh, okay, well this guy's not gonna make it. So I found some other guy, and like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with him. I caught him and hooked him, and I was like, hey, you know what? I go on this bike ride every Thursday night. You know, it's a few hundred people, and he's like, bicycles, adults, like, what? What are you talking about? The last time he rode a bicycle was when he was a kid, and the only bikes he rode when he was adult were motorcycles. So I was like, oh, come on, you'll love it, it'll be fun. So I took him on his first Thursday night social ride, and it was like the first week that we were actually dating. So he didn't have a bicycle. I had two bikes. I had my single speed and had my mountain bike. And if y'all have met my husband, he's a taller guy. We rode, I loaned him out my mountain bike, and where I lived at the time was on Woodward and I-35. That's right across the street from the I-35 building. Yeah, not really too far from here. And at that time, yes, social media wasn't, we weren't doing events at least. As far as I remember, we weren't doing events on social media. So we rode our bikes down the frontage road to Festival Beach where the bike ride meets up. And on this particular night, we happened to go to Common Interest. If you know where that's at, 183 and Vernon. And of course, he's like, oh my gosh, I got 2 minutes left. He's like, oh, I can't ride this bike. And everyone's like, that bike's too small for you. He's like, ugh. So we go to Common Interest. We got to come all the way back home, come up Congress, Woodward, and home, and like carry the bikes up 3 flights of stairs. He's like, all right, that was fun. Yeah, I agree. But I can't go on one of these bike rides until I get my own bike. So the next week he bought his own bike. Long story short, not only do I wear costumes, I've convinced him to ride costumes. And now he just buys his own costumes. But riding on bicycles has definitely opened me up. You know, I've learned, I've met a lot of people. I've got a large bike family. It's even to the point where, like, this past year, I've started leading the bike rides, and, you know, I love following. Like, I don't like being the front list and just, you know, partying, but I do like leading the bike rides now. It's fun. You should come out on any social ride. It'll be fun. But riding bikes definitely helps keep you alive. My coworkers, like, they envy me. They're like, how do you have so much energy? And it's like, I don't know. It's just really fun. That's my story in a nutshell. I think I practiced it a little bit longer, but I hope you guys all come back on to a bike story night and share your own stories on how and why you love riding bicycles. Thank you.
Wait. Can I twirl you? Can I twirl you? Yes. You're the best. You are the best. Thank you. Did Karina inspire you to tell your bike story next time? Yeah? Okay. Go for a bike ride. Wear an amazing outfit. Costume? Yes. Yeah, you go on a bike ride and you see Karina and you're like, shit. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Okay, there's a question I like to ask. This is really random, but how many of y'all have one bike? Just checking. Okay. How many of y'all have 3 bikes? Cool. Y'all are cool. How many of y'all have 10 bikes? I'm watching. Oh, shoot. Okay. 1 or 2 of you in here. How many of y'all have a cargo bike? 1, 2, okay, 3, okay, cool. Yes! How many of y'all have a pedicab? That's right, Fabia. Okay, how many of y'all have 5 bikes? Awesome. How many of y'all like want to have more than 3 bikes? Is that goals for you? Yes? Bike goals? Yeah, you better write it up there on the bike goal wall. Okay, so we are doing really great on time, and I'm super excited for that because that means that we get to have wildcard storytellers, and that's extra exciting for me because I have no idea who these people are, what their stories are going to be. So exciting! So with that, I have the first wildcard storyteller to introduce you to, and I do know this person, but I don't know what story that she's going to tell. But I'm excited that she's here, and she rode with the bike group that came, super helpful, of course. Brenda Chilawang. Y'all know her? Y'all know this person? Amazing. Brenda. I'm Chuliwa. I'm sorry, I don't.
I was married 2 weeks before I knew how to pronounce it.
If you had signed up, I would have learned your actual name, Chuliwa. Chuliwa.
Thank you. So of course y'all know I know stories, right? How many of you have I told a story or two, or 3 or 4? So when you ride your bike, you see things. You see things that, you know, you wouldn't see if you were in a car or if you were in a, as Cody calls it, a box. Right, Cody? Yeah. So one day I was riding along Zilker. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. And I'm riding along and I see coming toward me this dog, this beautiful dog. And it's big, it's like 3 feet tall, and it has this beautiful groomed hair. It's an Afghan. I don't even know what an Afghan is. And they've got long hair, and they're beautiful. And this dog had obviously been freshly groomed. I mean, it was beautiful. And it's running toward me, and I'm kind of like, oh, is this dog coming toward me? What's this dog doing? But then I noticed the dog was smiling. You know how a dog smiles? Dogs smile. And he was smiling, he was running toward me. And next thing I know, he hits this puddle, a mud puddle. And he hits this mud puddle and he goes in it and he's just like, yeah. And behind him you heard his owner, you know, Petsy, Petsy, you know, and the dog just, yeah, loving it every minute. So that's my story of the wonderful things when you're riding your bike. But I will say, okay, I didn't introduce myself. I've been riding since I was 3 years old. I was fortunate to have a father who was into bikes. And when I was 3, I got a cool-ass tricycle. Back in the 50s, you know, when they made them really nice. And I have a picture of me in my pajamas with the footies, smiling on Christmas Day with my new red and white tricycle. And I've ridden ever since, so I've been riding for 64 years. Thank you very much.
Eddie, where are you at? You? Eddie, did you run away? Wild cards can't run away. Oh, here he comes. And Nico. And please welcome the amazing Eddie, another wonderful member of our biking community. Eddie, 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 Eddie. Just kidding, just kidding. He's super shy. I'm sorry. Okay.
Hello, everybody. I want to plug first. There's a bike ride on Monday. It's called Lend Your Legs. It means so much to me. Come join us. It's at Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And volunteer, you can sign up to volunteer, sign the release, or just escort ride with us. It's a fun ride. And then after the ride, we get to have either pizza and beer at the Pint House Pizza on Burnett or Checo's Tex-Mex Mexican restaurant. One of those they got $3 margaritas. Is awesome. Anyway, oh my gosh. what did I talk about? I'm the guy that rides with a dog, a cargo bike, with my dog right here. It started out as one of my dogs passed away, and my friend 3 months later goes, "Hey, you need to come to Houston, pick up a dog." It's like, what? You know, pick up a dog. So I go back to Houston and pick up Miko, and she's a Basset Hound mix, and I said, okay, you know, I'm stuck. I love this dog. So I started out in my neighborhood. There's a bike trail that winds around, so I would ride my mountain bike, and she would run along, and she would do zoomies around. You know, I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill this dog. I'm gonna run over my dog, you know. But thankfully, she never did cross my path. She just raced that with me, and so I saw this ad for a bike trailer on Craigslist. I said, okay, let me try that. I put a laundry basket in the back, and off she went. See, so we started riding around Zilker Park and the lake, and if she would sit up and put her paws on the rim of the cargo bike, she would wobble the bike. So I would try to compensate, and she would pull me to the left, I would go to the right, and it was funny. She's now 62 pounds, so she's a handful. And then I started researching, you know, I can't take her on the cargo bike anymore because she's grown. So I started 3 years of searching, and I found this bike kit, and off we went and started joining social rides. I even carried yoga mats for the yoga ride. You know, hey, put your yoga mats on the cargo bike, and off we went. And we went around the city doing yoga rides. But I have a long history with bikes. I started out very young in the Philippines. I saw my mom call the knife sharpener, and the knife sharpener uses a bike, and she would pop the chain and put it on the front, and he would pedal, and he would sharpen my mom's knives. And then there's also a vendor that says taho. It's like a bean curd. It's really, really good and tasty. We would flag that guy, and with two, looks like trash can, but they're nice. They're not trash can, but you know, for food grade, and we would buy that. And then my parents would send me in the summer in the province. I didn't have a bike, but my cousin have a bike, and so we would try that. It's a balloon tire bike. We would stand on the seat. We would go downhill. No helmets. This was late 70s, early 80s, and we were daredevils. I was like, oh my God, no hands. I wonder why we didn't crack our heads, or you know, no broken bones, but we survived. And then off to the United States. I arrived here in Houston. My brother had a car, my sister had a car. I didn't have a car, but I was 19, so I'm like, I gotta go to work. So I bought a bike. It just closed recently. The bike shop that it's called Bike Route in Houston. It was in Stafford. It moved to Sugar Land. Pandemic killed that bike shop. It was a long-running bike shop in Houston. Sadly, I bought it. Schwinn Latour, 1986, silver. It was a nice bike. I went to work. You know, it was probably 4 miles. I was doing 4 miles in to get to work, and four miles back. Houston is notorious with cracked roads, so, and it was like, it's either you hop on the road or you hop on the sidewalk. And one time I wasn't looking, I was on the sidewalk. Next thing you know, there's a meter. I guess they put the water meter in the sidewalk, and plop, I flew off the handlebar. And I was like, you know, I was like, well, I just have to ride home. I rode home, and it's like somebody from the store came out. Hey, are you okay? Do you need ambulance? No, I think I'm okay. I'm gonna ride home. So I rode home. Then that was one of my adventures, and then off to college I went. I went to California for college. I bought a mountain bike. It's called a Rock Hopper from Specialized, and this was like 90s. And so I would ride to Santa Monica Beach and then ride down Venice Beach, up and down, all the way, you know. It was fun. It was, but this bike was too, I thought it was heavy, you know. It's like, you know. Came back to Houston, thinking my road bike is still in Houston. My family sold my Schwinn Latour. Like, oh no, you know. It's like, so up to this day, I'm still looking on eBay, see I can find that exact Schwinn Latour, you know. Then I went, you know, I got busy, no biking for a while, and then in the mid '80s, you know, I was doing some running at Memorial Park, and I hurt my knee. It's sharp pains. I said, so doctor said, no running for you. Just find something else to do. So I said, okay, I'll find a bike. So, and that's when it started, you know, with my mountain bikes. Then I moved to Austin. I started riding my bikes, and then I saw Social Cycling Austin. I saw Thursday Night Social Ride, I saw Lend Your Legs and Yoga Ride, and the rest was history. And then Sunday Cruise. So I met some wonderful, wonderful people on the bikes. You know, I've met some beautiful friends, Jess, Valarie, a lot of people. Even there's one person back there, Annabelle is raising money for AIDS. So beautiful people like that's means a lot to me, you know. The bike community is, to me, welcomed me in Austin. When I moved here, it was awesome, awesome. Thank you for letting me be on stage.
She chilled out now.
Thank you so much, Eddie. All right, we've got time for about 2 more wild cards, and then hopefully we can have some time for mix and mingle. I also just really quickly want to remind you, if you haven't yet had a chance to enter into the drawing for the amazing prizes from Specialized that they gave us, there's a short sleeve hoodie, headlights, a really awesome 5-panel hat, and this other really cool container where you can keep your bike tools and things like that. All of that you win. We're gonna do the drawing at the end of the night after the wild cards. So just saying, get that in there if you haven't yet. But let's get another wild card up here. Danielle. Ah, yes, look at this. You have your friend here. I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad that you're excited because I'm very nervous. My heart is beating super fast. So I really hope I don't fuck this up. But I was talking to Eddie briefly before this, and he was talking about how really the base of his story is about his love for cycling. And I'm gonna take this the opposite route, and I'm gonna talk about the death of a bicycle. So I hope you guys are ready for this. And I think this story starts when I left undergrad. I had this really cool Bridgestone vintage bike. I don't think a lot of people know that Bridgestone used to make bikes, but they did. And I had this really, what'd you say? I don't know what it was. It was cute, and it was from Craigslist, and that was essentially all my requirements. But I was going to undergrad in Toronto, and I couldn't bring it back to the States. And so when I moved back to Georgia, to Atlanta, I was really sad that I didn't have a bike. And my mom bequeathed to me a really beautiful Bianchi bike that she got in the 80s. And it was gorgeous, it was light, it was evergreen, it was everything I wanted out of a bike.
And it was one of my favorite possessions. I don't have like a lot of things that I hold close to me, and that was one that I really loved. And I rode it around everywhere in Atlanta. And one weekend I went to a festival downtown and I locked it up. And I was a responsible bike owner. I had a U-lock, you know, I didn't want anybody to steal it. So I locked it up, but I was not responsible at the festival and I drank too much and I lost the key that was sitting in my pocket. And so I did what I didn't call like a locksmith or anything because I didn't have any money. I know they charge a lot. So I contacted my landlord, and my landlord was affectionately called DIY Bob because he was about 77 years old. He got his claim to fame working for the CDC in Georgia back in the day, trying to find a cure for syphilis. And he could do anything. It amazed me what this guy could do, and he did things in a very DIY way, and you just trusted because he had these credentials. He just had this confidence that anything that he could do, that anything that he said he could do it well. And so when I contacted Bob, and I asked him, I said, Bob, I locked my bike up. I don't have the key anymore. Can you help me free my bike and bring it back to safety? When he said, absolutely, I trusted him. And he said, hop in my van, let's go. And so DIY Bob and I, we get in it was actually a truck, it wasn't a van. We hop in his truck and he has an electric jigsaw that he brought with him to try to saw through this U-lock. And so we get to my bike, and at this point there was a wheel missing. That's fine, that's not too expensive. It's not that much damage, but I still wanted to, get the rest of my bike back. And so he gets his jigsaw out, and he's like, we're just gonna try to saw through this U-lock. And I was like, go for it, Bob, you got this. He starts going for it, and as soon as he tries for maybe 5 minutes, and it doesn't make even a dent. Those things are indestructible. Well worth its money. Bad if you are trying to get a locksmith on the free side. And so, anyways, Bob wasn't fazed by this, and so he goes, don't worry about it. We'll just saw through the frame, and I'll take it back to my shop, and I will weld it. And now I hear from the collective sighing that you guys are way smarter than I am, and way less trusting. But I was like, Bob, you can do anything. You say things with confidence. You're 77 years old and you can fix fucking anything. So yes, please, saw through my frame of this vintage bike that my mom bequeathed to me, and you'll just fix it back at your shop and it'll be fine. And so he starts to saw through the frame, just in the middle of the frame. And as soon as he starts it, he goes, whoops. I said, whoops, what, Bob? And he says, whoops, it's too light to weld. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about welding. I don't know anything really about bikes. And I trusted you with this, heirloom of mine. And he goes, but don't worry about it. We can still fix it back at my shop. And I'm still confident that DIY Bob can do anything. So I'm like, you know what? We've hit a few road blocks. We're gonna save this bike, and I will keep it forever, and I will not let my family down with all that's wrapped up in this bike. And so we finish sawing through the bike. We get it out of the situation that it was in, and we take it back to his shop. And another thing about Bob, just a little side note, a little flair about Bob, the way that we paid rent, and he was a little bit of a hoarder. He had everything on his front porch. In his house, he had things stacked to the ceiling. In his workshop, he had just bins of different material everywhere, which is great. But the way that we paid our rent, which is not really relevant, but it's really fun, is he had an Etch-a-Sketch on the front step, and you would put your rent check underneath the Etch-a-Sketch, and then to notify him that you paid your rent, you'd do a little doodle on top. So that was really cute. And so, anyways, we went to his shop and he got different sized tubes, and he put like a metal pipe on the inside of my frame, and then he put a metal pipe on the outside of my frame, and then duct taped it all up. And he was like, "You're good to go. It's good. Be free. Ride out into the world. You are set. All fixed." And so I was like, "Okay, it's fixed," because I'm gullible and I believe that Bob would not put me in any danger. But he doesn't know anything about bikes. And so, you know, after a while, I had a friend that was in the community and he was an actual welder. And he's like, "What's going on with your bike here? I see like there's duct tape on it. What the fuck's going on?" And so I told him, I was like, "Well, my landlord fixed my bike. It was, you know, he saw through the frame, it's fine now." And so he was like, "What do you mean it's fine?" And I was like, "You know, there's just pipes on the inside, outside, you duct taped it, we're good." And he took a look at it and he goes, "Danielle, if you get in a bike accident, that will come apart and it will impale you." And he did this motion, and it freaked me out. And that's how I learned that, you know, and I use this in everyday life. I'm somebody that trusts people. When they speak with confidence, I trust in what they say. When I don't know shit about something, like I didn't know about welding, I don't know about the structural integrity of bikes. And so now when somebody speaks with, you know, a lot of confidence, sometimes I just take a moment and I think about DIY Bob and that bike that he killed.
Oh my gosh, let's do it, let's do this. Thank you, Danielle, that was amazing, great job. We have another wild card. This is gonna be our final wild card. Thank you to everyone again for coming out. I'll come back up here and do a full speech, but don't go anywhere, let's hang out, let's talk. But please welcome another wild card. Look at this brave soul, Kiko Giraldo. I hope I said it right. Giraldo.
Hey guys. So I have so many stories about bikes. I feel like and I have 5 minutes, so I can't tell them all. But, you know, I feel like all of my best stories have something to do with bikes or somebody I met through riding bikes, somebody I showed how to ride a bike, how to fix a bike, all that stuff. This story was kind of unexpected. Like, me and my girlfriend, Erin, we ride a lot of bikes together, and she's, so I'll continue, but her and I linked up with another couple, Candace and Michelle, and we decided to go to Bentonville, Arkansas, because we mountain bike, and it's a freaking amazing place. And I've been going there for several years, and you know, this was kind of a, you know, a cool trip because it was, you know, Michelle's last mountain bike ride before she was going to give birth to a child. And I'm like, okay, right, we're going to have a good time. So we're out on this easy trail, riding along this beautiful Arkansas lake, beautiful weather. I'm with beautiful friends. I'm with my girlfriend who mountain bikes. How lucky am I, guys? And I'm just loving life, oblivious to just all the worries of the world. And we stopped for lunch, and you know, Michelle pulls out a camera, a big, freaking huge camera, and I'm like, how did you fit that in your pack? But that's cool. She's Michelle, she likes gadgets. So I didn't think anything of it. They were taking pictures, testing light and crap like that. And then big Subway sandwich comes out of the bag. I'm stoked. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I love these women. You know, I'm just oblivious, just enjoying life and stuff like that. So Aaron and I get to our point and taking pictures and stuff like that, and you know, we're goofing off. I'm twirling her, just doing, you know, funny couple cheesy stuff, and then you know, she drops down to a knee, and I'm like, where are you going? And you're falling. I gotta catch you. And like, I have her head in my hand, and she's falling. And then she starts talking, and I'm like, what are you saying? Why are you falling and talking? And like, this is weird. And then I realized that she's proposing to me. Yeah. And that's Erin. This is why I love her, because she goes after what she wants. And she's not afraid to do something unconventional. And, you know, and so we're beside this amazing lake. It all makes sense why pregnant Michelle rode several miles mountain biking with a big freaking huge camera and a tripod and stuff. And earlier on the trail, I was leading, and I looked back, and they were like, I can see them across this creek thing, and they're stopped, and Aaron's like doing shots of whiskey, and I'm like, that's awesome, that's my girl, but y'all need to hurry up. We still got a lot of miles, and so. You know, everything started clicking, and I was just like so overwhelmed with joy. And you know, this is what happens when you ride bikes with the people you love.
Oh, she's my wife now.
Hi, I'm not sure where Valarie is, but I'm just... Oh, perfect. Here we go. Wait, it might not reach.
Erin, what's your story?
My story for bikes?
This.
Oh, this. We got married 6 months later. It was quick. Not on bikes, but it was a great time.
We would have brought bikes, but
yeah. Yeah, just yeah. The bikes brought us together. I would say that. So it was amazing.
That was a great story. Thank you for being a wild card and coming up. Sorry, I had to go grab the prizes. The trick is to not speak while you're walking up the stairs. Only speak here. Okay, so Jess, do you mind holding this other stuff? Not the hat. I got the hat. No, you got the hat. Sorry. All the help. Okay, we're gonna do the drawing for these amazing goodies. Thanks again to Specialized Austin. If you're not following them, you should follow them. They're about to open up their brick and mortar at the Domain, so it's gonna be pretty cool to go check them out. Thank you to everyone who came out again. Thank you to those who are still here. I feel like folks have trickled out. By the way, if you're riding back, there is a group riding back. I believe Drew is leading a ride back. There he is, raising his hand right there. So you are not riding back alone, don't worry. You'll get back to Plaza Saltillo. Thank you again to everyone who came out. Thank you to everyone who donated. Appreciate you. Thanks for keeping Bike Story Night going. It really, really helps out a lot. Hope to keep doing more. So, okay. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Here we go, here we go. I'm super excited, nervous for someone. Okay. I hope this person's also here. Oh my gosh. Ana Paredes. Ana Paredes? Sorry, for a second I thought it was gonna be Ana Santos, and my friend Ana Santos always wins stuff. Okay, Ana Paredes is not here, but she won. Let's give her a round of applause. Just for verification, that's true. Ana Paredes, this is true. Okay. Phew. Look at this amazing 5-panel hat. I'm gonna drop this real quick. because I'm obsessed with this hat. I'm gonna try it on. Sorry, Anna. Not sorry. Amazing. Also, I'm gonna also just show off this hoodie real quick because usually you have to cut your own, but this one came with like the cut and yes, Jess caught it immediately, of course. Zipper back. I'm just obsessed. True. And front and light back. Backlights. Very important. Highly encourage you to be visible while you're riding bikes. Let me just check what time it is. Do we have time? We have one more story? No, just kidding. We're all going to talk and hang out. The lights are going to go on, hopefully. There's some more stickers and keychains if you're interested in getting Bike Story Night merch. You can always message me later if you decide that you should have got a bike keychain or a sticker. Thank you again to all of the volunteers who helped tonight. Really appreciate y'all. You're amazing.
And one more round of applause for Valarie and Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan. Super big shout out to Jordan here. Jordan. It's his birthday on Friday. Keep it going. Keep it going. Happy birthday. Thank you to Ty over here as well, running our video slide. Also recording live. I believe he's going to post this. He's a podcaster, local.
It's up. It's been running live.
It's been running. People are seeing this somewhere. You all will see this eventually, maybe, if you want to. Thanks again for coming. We'll chat after this, okay? Bye! We'll see you next time. Thank you.